live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Great to be with you on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Another day, another jam-packed newscast with a lot to talk about. Wednesday, October 18th. Thank you for joining us. We're going to go in depth tonight on a couple different things. A primary focus, though, we've talked a lot about the 8 passengers' child abuse allegations involving Ruby Franke, Jody Hildebrandt, and a lot of the developments that come with that. We have brand new body camera video to show you from the day that 2 of Ruby Franke's children were located. That was the same day that Ruby was arrested, as was her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt. So this goes back to August 30th. A very interesting video. We will go in depth on that and talk a lot about what makes that very interesting. But let's get to your headlines here, shall we? You can find all these on our website, KUTV.com. A former police officer and friends of Tim Ballard says that he believes Ballard's accusers, Eric Moutsos is his name, he says he's spoken to 6 of the women who allege sexual misconduct by the former head of Operation Underground Railroad. Also in our headlines tonight, for a second time, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan comes up short, losing another vote for a new House Speaker. Jordan earned even fewer GOP votes today than he did yesterday. Also in your headlines tonight, you can find all this on our website, KUTV.com. Happening tonight, the Salt Lake City School Board meeting to discuss its population and boundary study. The district is studying 7 elementary schools for potential closure and the remaining district elementary schools for possible boundary changes. Also on our website right now, 2 of Utah's largest professional sports organizations have actually formed a partnership. Pretty cool. The Utah Jazz and Black Desert Resorts, that's down in Ivins, Utah. They've announced the move today. They say it's a way to bring together pro sports, basketball, and golf and create more opportunities for athletes, fans, and of course, residents of the great state of Utah. As we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us on the show. Use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join our conversation. We'd love to hear from you, especially on something that, stems from social media. So you can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Send a direct message anywhere to weigh in. Here's what we're talking about. New body camera video from American Fork Police shows how officers were able to locate 2 of Ruby Franke's children on the day of her arrest in southern Utah. From our previous reporting, we were the very first to tell you how officers scoured Utah County that day looking for 2 of Ruby Franke's children after the other 2 were located in southern Utah in or near Jody Hildebrandt's Ivins home, malnourished and emaciated. The video we're about to show you is from the home of a 3rd member of Hildebrandt's business. It's called Connections Classroom. Although American Fork Police redacted this video, we spent a lot of time today, took some additional steps to ensure the privacy of the children involved.
We had a agency assist out of St. George in Springville.
On August 30th, American Fork Police responding to the home of Pam Botcher to try and locate 2 of Ruby Franke's children the day Ruby and Jody Hildebrandt were taken into custody in southern Utah.
Just put your hands in front of you, okay? Just going to place you temporarily under arrest, okay?
In 2 body camera videos obtained by 2 News, officers placed Botcher in handcuffs and took her to the back of a patrol car and waited for Springville police to arrive.
There's a warrant to take them into state custody. A couple of them are found, again, malnourished and bound.
In the meantime, officers tried to get a better understanding of the situation, which spans from Utah County to Washington County.
Is Ruby Franke's daughter.
Okay.
She's a friend of ours. She comes over and helps me every once in a while to do cleaning and stuff.
Because she knows her mom. She's very good friends with her, has known her for a long, long time.
Pam was handcuffed for roughly 50 minutes. That's when Springville police officers started speaking with her about the Franke children.
So my friend called me and she said, hey, I have a family emergency. I'm going to St. George.
A DCFS worker arrives as officers try to clarify a time frame from when Ruby Franke called Pam and apparently told her where she could find the 2 children spread across Utah County.
Ruby contacted you around noon and said that they had
around, I don't know if that's exactly.
Minutes later, the DCFS worker asks how Pam knows the family, to which she confirmed our reporting about how Ruby, Jody Hildebrandt, and Pam all worked through Jody's business.
How did you start to know the family? How did you guys meet?
The Franke family?
Yeah.
Through a program called Connections.
Oh,
It's a kind of a life skills type of thing.
Pam walked with the officers and DCFS worker back to the front of their home, where they told the children that they were either to stay with their older sister or be placed into state custody with a foster family.
You want me to go get your stuff? You guys come and get your stuff.
During the entire 90-minute stretch of when officers arrived to when the two children were placed in state custody, officers had a really difficult time getting information about the situation and relaying that to Botcher, her husband, and others involved. For example, there are even mentions in this body camera of Ruby and her husband in custody at that time. To our knowledge, Kevin Franke was not in custody that day. Here's another clip from the interaction between officers and Pam trying to make sense of all of this.
So just to make sure I'm understanding all this correctly, Ruby contacted you around noon and said that they had an
Around it. I don't know if that's
Sure.
exact.
That's your best guess.
Said she had a family emergency.
And need you to pick up the girls.
Yeah, she said, would you mind watching the girls while I'm gone? Because she was leaving. I said, yeah, I could do that because I need some help cleaning.
Okay, and then did she say to bring them to your house for today and then take it back home tonight, or to keep them here for a couple days?
She didn't say. I was just planning on bringing them home tonight.
Shortly after, the DCFS worker comes over to ask Pam about how she really knows Ruby Franke. She brings up the business Connections Classroom. That's the business Jody Hildebrandt ran. We've done a lot of coverage on this. Here's the interaction when asking how Pam knows Ruby Franke.
What type of things do they do with the program?
It's like life skills.
Life skills.
Like learning how to, it's like be honest, responsible, and humble. Those are those three pillars of their program.
Is there like a meeting place for you guys met, or is it kind of a virtual
No.
place?
It's online every Saturday morning. It's called Empowering Joy.
Okay. How long have you known them for?
Oh, gee.
Ish.
Probably, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, I didn't know her really well because she was in the program, but I didn't really know her. But I've known her probably really well, maybe 3 years.
Is this like a program that she started, or is it just one that she kind of...
She's just a part of it.
She's just part of it.
No mention of Jody. You may remember from my conversation with Jesse Hildebrandt about a month ago. Pam and Jody have been friends for a very long time. We've been covering the 8 passengers case extensively over the past few months. A number of folks have been speaking to those who say they have been impacted by this in some way. And it may have been a while since we've talked to one of those individuals because the courts have really quieted down. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Head to the 8 Passengers playlist to watch all of our past coverage if you're interested. The state of Utah, Salt Lake City, having even more reason to believe another Winter Games could be coming to northern Utah. That's where most of it would be. They say last week's announcement from the IOC that there could be a dual award announced that has them convinced that organizers are really focusing on Utah for 2034. But how much money will it take to get the venues ready for another Games? Who pays for it? Paul Nelson, our Olympian tonight, joining us downtown. Paul, why are there so much bits of joy and optimism about the Games coming back, and are they really firm about 2034?
Well, matter of fact, they are kind of bidding for 2030 as well, but the games that they really want are the ones that happen in 2034. That's according to the governor, Spencer Cox. Now, this announcement that happened last week with the IOC saying that they could announce a dual award, meaning they could award 2 different cities, 2 different games, and they could make that announcement at the same time. According to Governor Cox, he looks at it like this: why would the IOC make that announcement unless they already had a very viable candidate for 2034? Technically, Salt Lake City is the only city in the running right now. However, it is possible that Sweden, France, or Switzerland, the same countries that are also bidding for 2030, that one of them could change their bid for 2034, but some officials that I spoke with said that is not likely at all. So they believe that that announcement was kind of just foretelling that they really are looking very closely at Utah and Salt Lake City for 2034. Also, the next step in these negotiations would be what they call focused discussions. This is where the IOC actually invites representatives from just one city that's bidding on that particular year and has them kind of sit down and just discuss and say, hey, look, we are focusing in on you and we want to talk to you. And they believe that those discussions are going to happen in November.
You know, Paul, when we talk about Olympics, it's always interesting. You can go down the rabbit hole and look at a number of places all over the world that have just let their venues go to garbage, right? I mean, they're not used anymore.
Yeah.
Here in
They've gone
Utah,
to pot.
we are really at an advantage. I mean, a lot of our venues are being used on the daily. Think of what's going on in Kearns or in Park City there at the Olympic Park. So I know there's money in place for these venues, but do they really need to do much work for these, or are we pretty set?
It seems like, according to what everybody was saying, especially Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall, she was saying that pretty much we are good to go. The phrase that she used more than once was, we could host another Olympics tomorrow if it was needed. But of course, what we did have, back in 2002, there was $76 million that was left over and that was dedicated to upkeeping and to maintaining the legacy buildings and the legacy venues that were left over from 2002. And so because of that, they've been properly maintained and properly funded pretty much all this time. And matter of fact, $42 million of that money is still available to spend, so they can keep making upgrades if they have to. And of course, the publicly owned venues, of course, that would be funded by the taxpayers. However, there's some private ones that were used in 2002, like for example, the Delta Center. That's privately owned, so that would be maintained on its own. So as far as the people that we spoke with are concerned, they say, realistically, there isn't really much work left to do in order to get ready, as it were, for another Olympic Games.
Paul Nelson building some excitement here, along with a lot of other folks in Salt Lake City today, talking about the big games coming back to Salt Lake City. Paul, thank you very much. I'll remind you, it's 2023. 2034 is a while, it's a while away here. So the biggest selling point to host a second games, what are they according to you? A lot of you saying venue's still intact. I tend to agree. Kristen Kenny and I were talking about this earlier. Greatest snow on earth. Obviously, that's a sell for the Winter Games. Strong economy, support for the games. I think we've got it all here in Utah, Chase Thomas, and I really do.
I mean, we're locked in.
We're ready to go.
But that's more than a decade away.
I know. Like, how do you keep the excitement going for a decade?
Just keep talking about it.
I mean, we help with that by just putting it out there. All right, I love your graphic here. 3D weather time.
Weight of leaves. If you're a homeowner, you know that it gets quite heavy and it gets a little much when we go through the next couple more weeks when we're raking up all these leaves. And you got to be very careful.
Leaves or snow, like either way, it hurts the back.
It does. Jim was just mentioning how he threw out his back lifting a pine cone. Oh. So, leaves could be a little bit heavier than a pine cone.
Tell Jim to do some stretching first, please.
Okay, so we're going to break it down for you, okay? So on average, on a very large tree, large maple tree, we could have 200,000 leaves in just one tree. So that's a lot of leaves, right? Because a leaf doesn't weigh very much, right? But if you have 360 dry leaves, that equals about 1 pound. Well, if you have 200,000 leaves, what does that equal to? 550 pounds of leaves. So that's what you're going to be raking up over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So please be extra careful. Of course, if it rains, it gets heavier.
Yep.
Potentially 4 times heavier. So if you struggle with some of that weight, maybe wait until those leaves get dry. And they're dry right now, and they're falling right now. So get to it before the rain moves in.
It's the benefit of having an HOA to take care of the leaves for you.
Ooh.
Just say it's the one benefit, really. I love the. You have the great pleasure of taking care of your yard.
If you want to come over and rake my leaves, you're more than welcome. Because we have a lot.
You better pay in beverages or something.
I can do that, and pizza. Let's get to the forecast. Here you go. We are dealing with a big ridge of high pressure that's offering us some really nice weather just in time for fall break for many kids here in Utah. We have these warm afternoons and we have cool nights. Sunset is now right around 6:45, so regardless, just because of the sun angle, we do cool things off just a bit. Now the high kind of flattens a little bit over the weekend. It still stays pretty mild, but that's going to allow for our next storm to move in. Right now, looks like the latest timing will be sometime on Monday, early next week. Doesn't look huge, but maybe a few showers and definitely a dip in those temperatures, but nothing too significant. However, there might be another storm behind it moving in Wednesday into Thursday of next week, and that one could be colder with some rain and maybe some snow mixing in. There's still a lot of uncertainty, and that's more than a week out, and that could change, but we're watching that. So it does look unsettled for next week as we might flip that switch. So hopefully you're enjoying these warm temperatures. We're about 10 degrees above average. Lots of 70s right now here in northern Utah, some 60s towards Heber. 80s across portions of central and southern Utah. I mean, St. George close to 90 degrees in mid-October. That is very warm. 54 though for tonight in St. George, so you do cool off. We'll be in the 40s in central Utah. If you're in Nephi, Manti area, you'll be dipping down into the 30s. That's pretty common, though, for this time of year. We'll be in the low 50s here along the Wasatch Front. Speaking of fall break, though, you really can't ask for better weather to be outside. Sunny weather Thursday, Friday, mid-70s. We'll stay in the mid-70s through the weekend. Maybe a few clouds, though, rolling in on Sunday ahead of that Monday storm that we just chatted about. Now, if you're down in southern Utah, head to a pool, though, as we see temperatures near 90 Thursday and Friday. Saturday, 86. 84 on Sunday, still warm, and a few clouds for southern Utah. Hitting those national parks out in eastern Utah, including Arches and Canyonlands. We're just going to keep those temperatures in the low 80s all the way through fall break. So now St. George, you'll see that as we head into next week, few clouds rolling in, and there will be a subtle cool down, low to mid 70s. But right now, I don't see a whole lot of rain for St. George quite yet. But there might be a few stray showers in the mountains of southern Utah, Cedar City, Bryan Head, so we'll be watching that. But I think the brunt of the moisture might impact northern Utah. So we'll keep it dry through Sunday. There's that chance for rain on Monday, scattered showers, 63 degrees. Might see a little bit of a break on Tuesday, and then here comes that colder storm for Wednesday, Brian, as we dip into the 50s. And I don't want to get you too excited because it's still a ways out, but that Wednesday, Thursday storm, it could be a lot colder than that 55.
Yeah, a little skippity of moisture here. That's not bad. I mean, after what we've had here for the last week, 2 weeks almost.
I know. That's 3 weekends in a row of having some very nice weather.
Yeah, I don't mind this here. And we're bound to see the seasons change at some point and really get into what fall or winter is here. We're spoiled.
And we're about a month away from ski season.
All right,
but
I'm
who's
ready.
counting?
Well, you are. You are.
You are.
I'm counting.
We
too.
are.
All right, we're always counting here on 2 News Live at 5:30. We're counting down to the rest of our show here this evening. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again with some different topics. We'll dive into some unique stuff as we try to do. Have a great rest of your night. Great to be with you. And we'll do it all over tomorrow at 5:30. Chase, Brian, everyone else. Good night.